guys, welcome to My Little Paintbrush. I am Miss Sarah, and today we are going to be painting Baby Yoda. I am so excited for Baby Yoda. He's one of my favorites. I hope you love our spin on this cute little guy. We're going to use a couple brushes to start off here. So if you have a large flat, a medium flat, and a detail brush, these are the ones I'm going to be using. You are welcome to grab whatever you have. We'll make it work, right? A couple things to remember. Even though we aren't in the studio together, Miss Sarah's rules still apply. Remember, we're all unique. We paint differently. That's what makes this world so beautiful. So just have fun and enjoy the process, okay? And let's also remember to be creative. If you want to change anything on your Baby Yoda, go for it. We love to see what you come up with. You ready to get started? Here we go. Let's first get our largest brush here. It's a flat, and we're going to rinse it in water just to loosen up the bristles. And also, our acrylic paint loves water, especially when we're using black first, which is what we're going to. If you look here on my plate, I have all of my colors separated. And I like to do this so that I can easily access them and mix them with white, because white is our best friend. So we will be mixing white with most of the colors today. Let's start first with our black though. So let's use our large flat and just load it up here with black. And we're going to paint outside of our Baby Yoda and his carrier first. So let's start there just to warm up our paint muscles and get going here. So I'm going to paint all the way around. You'll notice that my canvas is slightly bigger than yours, right? So even though the top here ends on my canvas a little early, yours will go right off the top, okay? So go ahead and paint all the way to the edge there. And remember, you can wrap your sides, right? So you can take your brush and go all the way around the edge of your canvas and paint all the way around here. So I would reach around normally and just paint the side while I'm at it if I had a canvas like yours. If you're painting on paper like me, that's great too. Okay, so we're going to go around this carrier here as carefully as we can. I'm going to try not to go inside the lines. If we do, it's okay. No big deal. We don't need to stress about it. You can always come back and fix it later, okay? This is pretty quick. If you need to add water to your brush, be sure to do that, because if you get little white spots showing up on your canvas when you're doing black, which does happen pretty easily when you're using black, just add water to your brush and it'll fill it in very easily. Okay, so right now I'm feeling like my paint is seizing up, so I'm going to add water to it as I go. Okay, so we're going to go around his little ear here, up, trying hard to stay outside those lines so I don't have to fix it later, and I can also see where I'm going, right? So I go around. All right, come straight up and curve it. Okay, I'm not going to worry too much about that because we're going to fill it in later. All right, so there we have it. Our background's in. We're just going to let it dry for a second. Now I have black on my brush still. So instead of rinsing it, I'm just going to go straight to my pile of white and make it gray for my ship, okay? I guess it's not a ship, it's his carrier, not his ship, right? And I'm sure you all have the correct terminology for that carrier. I'm gonna call it a baby carrier. Pardon me. All right, so we're going to add a little water to this. I want it to be a light gray. So if you can see here, I just didn't rinse my brush. This is all I had in my brush made this gray. Okay, so it's just a tiny bit of black. So I'm gonna mix that up, make a light gray. You can make it as dark as you want. Mine's pretty light. And I'm gonna go ahead and start painting the bottom of my carrier. Now, as I go, you'll notice my brush stroke is curving. See that? Kind of like I'm making a smile or a rainbow shape. That helps our carrier look like it's round instead of flat. So as you go, try and keep your brush strokes going in a smiley face motion. Okay, follow it around. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and follow the line very carefully. And you notice I tried not to pick up my brush as I do that edge. That gives me the cleanest result. If you need to pick up your brush though, that's okay. The goal is to just have as smooth of an edge as possible. Okay. Now, even though these two colors are the same, the top part of his carrier is also gray, I like to follow the line so I can add that shadow and know where it is. Okay. I didn't rinse my or mix my colors too much. That's why you can see the streaks in my painting. See that? If you don't mix your black and white too thoroughly, you'll get those streaks, and I love them. Kind of gives you that natural two-tone without doing a whole lot of work. Okay, so now let's go ahead and paint around the edge of our ship using the same color. And I'm going to use the toe of my brush. See how my brush is standing on its tippy toes? That gives me a really smooth line. And I'm trying not to pick up my brush as I follow that edge all around. And this goes right off of your canvas. So you can wrap your canvas right up here at the top. Go all the way over the edge of your canvas to finish it off up there. Bring him right below here, right below Yoda's ear. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just fill it in. And I am filling in the whole thing right here because it's the same color as well. We'll come back and add all the details later. This is just getting our first layer on there. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and add the top part. Going back and forth in a straight line this time. Now the bottom part of the carrier, we were making a smiley shape, right? To make it look like it's more round. This top part, I'm going to go straight across, just so it looks a little bit different, like there's an edge to that carrier. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way across there. All right, guys, looks good. And you can still see there's a line right here, right? You can kind of see it. I'm leaving that there so I can add a shadow. So before I rinse my brush, I have it loaded up with the gray. I'm going to take this flat brush and put a little bit of black right on the corner like that. See that? Okay, this is what we're going to do here is called floating. If you don't want to do it this way, you can grab a small brush and just make a straight line across. Okay, but I'm going to show you how to make a shadow here. So right along the edge of our carrier, right at the top there, I'm putting the black facing up along that line. I'm just going right across there without picking up my brush. Back and forth, okay? And that gives us that shadow. It's back and forth. Now, if your brush isn't going on very smooth, like if your paint isn't going on very smooth there, you might need to add some water to your brush. It should go on pretty easily. So if it's not, that might mean you need some water. Okay, I'm just gonna go across there. And I'm not too worried about the line because we're gonna come back and outline it later. Just go back and forth until it kind of fades away. Okay. All right, now I'm just gonna make sure I don't have a hard line there. Right, I'm gonna blend that in real quick. There we go. And you'll see the streaks and everything. I'm gonna let that be. I like that in our ship. All right, guys, good work. Okay, let's just let that be for a minute and we'll come back to it later. Just gonna let that dry for a minute. Let's rinse our brush really good. Get that black out, right? Because we are now going to start on Baby Yoda's face. So we wanna make sure our brush is really clean after that. We don't want any black in our brush, okay? I'm gonna rinse it out really good. And I'm gonna use the same large flat brush for Yoda's face. Now here's the thing with Baby Yoda. He has a couple different shades of green on his face, okay? And so you have dark green, yellow, and white that we're gonna be working with. And we're just gonna mix different shades of green to make his face, okay? So the first thing we need to do is his main color, the one we put on his entire face. And it's a really light green, okay? So we have this pile of yellow, green, and white. I'm gonna take a little bit of green because it just takes a tiny bit, guys. Not very much, just a little bit of green. You see how that touch of green just really saturated our yellow, right? So you just wanna use a tiny bit. And then let's pull in some white and mix it in with that green and yellow. And you can decide how dark or how light you want your Yoda to be. The more yellow you add, the limier his color will be. All right, so if you want him a little bit darker, be sure to add more green. I want his main color to be lighter. I'll add that shading in a little bit, but I'm just gonna keep mixing until I love my color for Yoda. And I'm pretty happy with that, so we're gonna get started. Once you're pretty happy with your color, you can just add a color to your brush and go for it. We're just gonna start filling it in here. Okay, and you notice my brush strokes are going back and forth in a rounded motion. See that? Kind of like a rainbow, so that his head looks round instead of flat. So I'm gonna move my brush around right off my canvas, and you can paint the side over here as you wrap around. Okay, and then I'm gonna take my brush and just go right off this side. And you notice I'm using the very tippy toe of my brush to do his ear. See that? But I don't stop my brush stroke. I keep it moving in the direction of his ear. I'm gonna just try and go around his eyes so I don't lose the eye shape there. Really makes it easier for me later. Okay, and we're gonna go up where his nose is. We're gonna take our brush strokes and go up from his mouth so that the brush strokes are going in that direction. It gives his face that natural texture, and that's what we're going for, okay? So keep your brush strokes going up and around in the direction of his nose and his head if you can. It's kind of tricky. We can try, right? We're going to try going around his cheeks and his eye. There we go. And remember to add water to your brush if you feel like it's not going on very smooth. Okay. So I'm just going to keep that paint flowing so it doesn't dry on me. There we go. And don't forget the bottom of his ear as well. We're going to use the toe of our brush and get that bottom part of his ear right off the canvas. Oh, I went in the black there. Just wipe it off. We can come back and outline it later. Okay, so we're gonna go all the way around. Just make sure you wrap it around if you want to do the edge of the canvas as well. Okay, now I'm just gonna go one more layer here and make sure my green is on there the way I want. Okay, so you're just gonna go around here. Make sure you have a good layer on, because sometimes this green can be translucent if you do a really thin layer, and you just want to make sure your green is on there really well for Yoda. So if you need to do one more layer, go for it. Okay. All right. I think he's pretty covered there. Looking good. Okay, so my brush now has this green from Baby Yoda on it, right? And remember when I told you we're going to do different shading of that green? So I'm not going to rinse my brush. I'm just going to go right into another shade. Just like we did with our black. Remember, we did our background and then we did our ship with the left, or carrier. Sorry, guys. Okay, we did our carrier with what was left on our brush from the background. We're going to do the same thing with Baby Yoda. So I have this light green here, and I'm going to add just a touch of the dark green to that light green I've already mixed to make a darker shade of the green I already have. I'm going to save some of that green for later. Okay, let's move that up so you can see it. So right here, I have a darker green, right? So now that I have a slightly darker shade of green, I'm going to rinse my brush now, so it's not totally saturated with my darker shade, and I'm going to put a little bit of that green, darker green, on the corner of my brush, and we're going to float now. Okay, if you don't want to float, you can just outline. You can outline with a brush, smaller brush. The idea is to just have this darker shade just along the edge of your Yoda, going right up the ear there. Okay, we're just going to follow him around the edge of our outline. You see how it just adds slightly darker shade? Okay, and I'm also going to do it along the edge of his head right here. I'm not going to go all the way across. I just want to add a little bit of a shadow right there along the upper part of his head. And we're also going to add it right along the bottom part of his ear, where his ear is in shadow there. So it's slightly darker. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Now we're going to go just around his eyes. Around the top of his eye there with that darker shade. It's just slightly darker. It's not super noticeable, but it's enough that it makes his head less flat, brings it to life there. I'm going to go around his eye with that darker shade. Okay. His nose is going to go right here, right? So this just kind of helps give the illusion that his nose is outlined there. All right, so there we go. We're getting it, guys. He's starting to come alive here. You're going to start seeing it. Okay, so we're going to let Yoda dry for just a minute. I'm going to rinse my brush so we can move on to the next color. But let's just give Yoda a break. Let him dry a second. Okay, and let's paint his ear. So his ear is kind of fun because you have yellow and red to mix as however you want. I'm going to make an orange with my yellow and red. But if you want his ear to be more red than orange, do less yellow or just do straight up red. You can even make his ear yellow. So this leaves it up to you. You can get creative with how you want the inside of his ear. I'm going to mix some yellow and red together to get this orange color. Okay, you just need a tiny bit of red to make an orange. We don't want too much red or you won't get that orange color. So I'm keeping it pretty light, okay? You can go darker. You can add more red to it. But here we go. Our red is going to be darker here at the very base of his ear. And it's going to get lighter as you come away from his ear. See that? Okay. And because you mixed it with yellow, you're going to have different streaks, which is awesome. I love it. So you'll have yellow streaks showing up through your paint as well as red. Right? Now I'm going to add some white to my brush here just to make it lighter towards the edge. See that? Now you can do the whole thing orange, or you can do the whole thing yellow. You don't even have to do this white. I just like how it fades out a little bit and it's darker towards the inside of his ear and it gets lighter as you go away from it. I just think that's kind of fun. Okay, but you can decide how you want that. Just brushing away and keeping the edge lighter. All right, there you have it. You can come back later and add more white too. If you feel like you added too much red and you want it lighter, you can just come back and do that later. Okay, so let's rinse our brush. We finished our ear. I'm gonna make sure it's really clean for our next color. Okay, next we're gonna go ahead and put on the top of Yoda's robe. Okay, and it's brown. It's just right up here. I'm gonna mix a little bit of white with my brown because our brown, it's a little bit translucent. Sometimes we have to do a couple layers with our brown, but if we add white with the first layer, that makes it a lot faster. Okay, so go ahead and add some white to your brown. If you need to add some water, do that too, so it goes on smoother. So this is just our first layer. We're gonna put that on here. Remember to wrap your canvas if you want to. You can go right around the edge. Here we go. So I'm gonna try really hard not to go up into Yoda's face here, if I can help it. And you notice I went straight across without picking up my brush. That's the goal. But it takes some practice, so be nice to yourself. We're gonna go straight across here. Okay. We have our first layer of brown on. This will make it easy when we come back to add that darker layer of brown. All right, let's rinse our brush again. We're doing good, guys. We've got to get our first layers on so they can dry, so we can come back and add all the little details that really make this fun. Okay, so I'm going to switch brushes now because I want to paint Yoda's eyes. And this big flat is a little too big for those eyes. So I'm going to switch to my smaller flat brush, rinse it in some water, and let's get some black. Let's load up that brush with some black. Okay, and if you need to hold your canvas for a minute to put these eyes on, you can, because eyes are tricky. Sometimes it's really hard to balance your brush and do that circle. So if you need to hold your canvas for a minute, I like to do that a lot when I'm painting. I'll just hold my canvas so I can get up close and have a little bit more control over these shapes. But if you want to just go for it like me, awesome. Let's just do it. So remember, it's a painting, not a print, right? So all the little strokes and misshapes are what give it so much character and make it fun. Okay, so I'm gonna go all the way around there the best I can. There's one eye. Let's put our other eye on. Nice and easy, right? Kind of have to slow down when we're doing these shapes, if we can. Okay, come all the way around here. right, let's finish up. Sometimes I have to remember to breathe when I'm doing shapes. I hold my breath when I'm doing these things. All right, go all the way around. There we have it. So we have his eyes on there. Good work. That was tricky. Okay, so now that we have the eyes, I am going to use the black I have on my brush still. And while those eyes are drying, I'm gonna do a little bit of outlining on my ship. I'm sorry, my baby carrier. I don't know why I call it the ship, but it's habit. Okay, so while I have this black on my brush, I'm gonna go ahead and go right in here and fill in the inside of our baby carrier, okay, with black. Now I'm going to add some white to my brush. The reason I'm going to do that while I'm painting is to give us some shading inside that baby carrier. Now if you don't want to do that, if you just want to do straight black, that works just fine too. The idea is to have it darker inside as if it's shadowed, okay? So you don't have to add that white to your brush if you don't want to. It's a preference. But let's try and just fill it in all the way around. Brush back and forth, smooth out our paint. Okay, that was the trickiest part. So we're gonna come up here now to the top and just fill this in. And you see the white that I had on my brush kind of gives us those white streaks. And if I keep my brush moving this direction around Yoda's head, you get those streaks that look like they're going around him rather than just a flat ship. Baby carrier. I give up. I'm just gonna call it a ship. Okay, so we're going all the way around. Now I'm gonna try and keep it lighter as we get closer to Baby Yoda's head because he has that glow about him, right? So as you get closer to him, if you add more white to your brush, you'll naturally have a lighter color around his head. And like I said, you can do this all black. That's perfectly fine. Okay, because you're gonna put little white hairs around the top of his head later, which does the same thing. So that is a personal preference. Remember to wrap your canvas right here. Now as we come around the edge here, we want to slow down. And I'm using the toe of my brush again, just to make sure I have a clean line against the edge. All right, so there we have it. We have the inside done. Followed it all the way around. Be sure to wrap the side if you want. Okay, I'm gonna rinse my brush now. Let's rinse it out. Good work. Okay, let's switch now to our detail brush. Okay, we're going to use our detail brush. It's a really small brush that does small lines. All right, so I'm going to put some black on my detail brush. Make sure you add some water. If you feel like your black is really thick, add some water to it. All right, so we're going to add his little mouth and his nose right here. So first thing we're going to do is his mouth. You can do any kind that you want. I kind of have the up and down swirl mouth to make it look like he's kind of smiling, but you know, Baby Yoda contemplates a lot, doesn't he? So I couldn't decide on a smile or a frown for him. So we went with both. He is contemplating. Okay, and there's a little nose. Just do a little smiley face for his nose. All right, and to give the illusion that he has wrinkles, we're gonna come right over here and add these rainbow-shaped strokes just above his eye, okay? Here we go. Just want to make sure we line those up. Follow it around, just like that. Okay, so we're just going to give him the illusion that he has all these wrinkles. Okay, now next we're going to add this little line. You want to line it up with his nose coming straight up just above his eyebrows and do a straight stroke up, just like that. Now let's add these little wrinkles at the top of his head, okay? So you're going to come right here. We're going to start at the middle of that line and do a rainbow shape on each side. They don't have to be exactly alike. That's what's fun about this, because all of his little wrinkles are different. The idea is to just have them go around the top of his head. Okay, just like that. We're going to come over on this side and do the same thing. Just like that. And we'll do one more. Right there. They can be touching or they can be separate. That's up to you. All right, but there we go. Now we have the base for Yoda's head. And let's let it dry just a second. I'm going to rinse my brush. And we're just going to go back to his outfit while those lines are drying. And we're going to add some dark brown. Okay, so I'm going to take my large flat brush again. And let's put some dark brown on the very corner of our brush. And basically you're going to put that brown along the edge and follow it around. Okay, this gives that shading that we want. Just follow it around. Now you can make this as dark as you want. Okay, if you want to put another layer of brown and make it really dark, you can. I'm just following the edges. Just like that. Okay. And all you need is this last layer, really. Just brush it in there. Just make sure your edges are as dark as you like. You can also decide where you want his outfit to fold. And I'm going to do it right here. Just make that little line there. We're also going to do that with black. So you don't necessarily have to do that. I just like to give myself a guide. So I'm going to wrap it around right there to where I want it to go. Okay. And like I said, you can keep adding brown. Make it as dark as you want. I'm going to keep mine pretty light. I like the different shades in it. So I'm going to leave it alone and let it dry. Let's rinse our brush. Okay. And while that is drying, let's finish up our carrier. So right here, if you remember from The Mandalorian, his carrier lights up sometimes, right? Sometimes it's green, sometimes it's red. I went ahead and made it green, but I'm going to take my large flat brush and come directly under his mouth, and we're going to make that square or rectangle. Okay, it's just that one stroke with white straight across. Okay, if you have a smaller flat, you just might have to do 2 strokes across. Okay, but the large flat should be wide enough for you. So we're gonna go right across here. Just make sure it looks like a good triangle for us to put those lights in. There we go. and we're just gonna let that dry for just a minute. And while I have this white on my brush, I'm gonna go ahead and add some highlights. So we're just gonna brush it on here on our ship. Okay, I'm gonna come right up here to the top and brush it in there as well, right inside my carrier. Okay, I have some right here just inside my little outfit. Okay, and we're just gonna put some right up here, anywhere you want them to go. I'm gonna do it right along the edge, kind of circling it out here, making it less of a square. You can leave it a square if you want, or you can curve it a little bit. Okay, we're gonna come back and outline that in a minute. Okay, but there's our little highlights we have going on. Good. Okay, let's rinse our brush. We're getting to all the detail work. We're almost there. Okay, so I'm gonna rinse my brush out really well. All right. So now with our Baby Yoda here, we're gonna add a little bit of highlighting to his eyes and cheeks. So I want you to grab either a small flat or a round brush, and let's go to our green, and we're gonna add a little bit of white to that light green. You see, this is our third shade now. So we use 3 shades of green while we're painting our Baby Yoda. And this one is our lightest shade, okay? And this light shade is gonna go just around his eyes, just like this. Just like his eyelids, right? We have one on the bottom as well. There we go, just right around there. We're gonna go around to the other side. You know how Baby Yoda has those eyelids, right? They just really stand out. This gives us the illusion. Go all the way around here on the bottom as well. Okay, oh. So there's his eyelid. We also have some cheeks here. So I'm just gonna brush those on. You're just gonna smooth them out with your finger. Go right around here. Just smooth it out to give the illusion that he's got those light cheeks, right? Just like that. Good. Okay. And this part is kind of fun. I'm going to use a flat brush to do it. Just going to put that light color right on my flat brush. Okay. And I'm going to brush it right down each side from the top of that wrinkle up there, straight down, so we can just really show it off. See that? Because that is what makes Baby Yoda, those strong wrinkles there on the top of his head, huh? And you can add some right to the middle if you want for his nose, but we just want to make sure he has that light. Okay, I'm going to put some right here along his ear while I have it on my brush, and along the top of his head right here to add that light. There we go. He's really starting to come to life there. Okay, let's rinse our brush. Really good. One other thing you can do if you'd like to add a little detail is right here along that middle line. I'm going to put some dark green right there. It just helps it stand out. Okay, now that we're done with that, let's grab our detail brush and do some of our detail work. Actually, first, before we do that, I'm going to keep this medium flat brush that we have and go ahead and put my light in here on my ship. So I'm going to get this green here, because I chose green for the lights there. If you want to do red or orange, you can do that. I'm going to go with green. just because I thought that was fun. But if you want, you can change that color because it lights up different colors, right? Okay, so right here in the middle of our white, let's just kind of guess. We're gonna put 3 squares right there in the middle. It's just these brush strokes is all I'm doing. Simple brush stroke for those squares. Okay, you can kind of guess how big they're gonna be. You can make them as big or small as you want. There we go. Let's rinse that brush off. All right, so now I'm going to use my detail brush and we are going to add the highlights with white. So I'm going to put some white on that detail brush. Okay, and let's go ahead and put some in our ear. And go right over here to our ear. And I have 1 stroke right there. And I put a little bit right above those 2 middle wrinkles on Yoda because I really wanted them to stand out. And then I have some on his nose, one on his nose right there. Okay, and let's go ahead and add some to the top of his ear as well, just where we want that light to show. Okay, and let's do his eyes. So my Yoda's eyes are done with the detail brush. You can add a circle or any kind of light you want inside his eye. You can get creative here. I chose to do 2 little circles looking out towards the stars. And go all the way around here. Circles are tricky, so just do your best. They are tricky. Okay, so we have our 2 little circles, and then I do kind of like a little bit of a smiley face here on the corner of his eye, because Baby Yoda's eyes are actually brown, right? So this gives us that illusion. I'm going to use the back of my brush to make this little white chocolate chip, to add a little bit of sparkle here. Okay, and we're just going to let that dry for just a minute. And then we'll come back and add that brown a little bit later. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more light right here along the top of his head. All right, so now while he is drying, we're going to do our outlining. So I'm going to put some water on my brush, load it up with black, just like this, okay? Load it up. And let's go ahead and do our outlining. I'm going to just fix this little eyebrow there. All right, first we're going to just outline the top of his outfit. Okay, and you can kind of make it look like it has those ruffles if you want. We're going to go around here on this side as well, all the way off our canvas. Let's follow this edge as well. Even though it's black on the background, it just cleans it up for us, right? Okay, let's go ahead and do his ears all the way around, just like that. And his face actually just comes up just a little bit right here. Okay, so I'm going to come up from his neck, just bring his little face up a little bit just to finish it off, right? And then we're going to just do the top of the ear. I'm going to follow his ear here all the way around. Now the goal is to be able to do this in 1 stroke. If you can't, it just means you probably don't have enough water on your brush. You want to try and be able to follow it around in 1 stroke, just like that. Okay, now let's just do the top of his ear, straight across. We're going to follow the top of his head. Even though he has that hair up there, I just like to outline. So he really shows up. There we go. Follow him around. Make sure you go around your canvas there. Okay. So now that he's outlined, we're also going to put a little bit of a sideways smiley here for the inside of his ear. Just curve it a little bit. Good work. Okay. So now we're just going to outline his ship or his baby carrier here. So I'm going to follow it around. Now we're just going to perfect some of the details as we go here. Okay, so this part here comes around, right around here, and it comes straight across. So we're going to follow it around and just bring it straight across there. And this here, we're going to square it off. So this is going to come up, just like that, and then we're going to square it off, just like that. Okay. This as well, square it, there we go. Okay, and we're going to follow it right across here. Give it that outline just to finish it. Do it here along the bottom as well. Try not to pick up my brush as I go across. There we go. Okay, and to give the illusion that these aren't flat, we're just going to outline the edge. I didn't do all of it. You'll see I just did some of it, so we don't have to take the time to do it all, but it still gives the appearance, right? Which is awesome. So we're just gonna go right across the top a little bit here, and a little there. You can go all the way around if you want. I just didn't want to take the time to do all that. I'll go right around here. There we go. All right, now right here, we're going to add lines, and I put it there and brush it with my finger. See that? That way you don't have to sit and make the perfect line. Okay, and we'll come back and highlight it in a minute. Okay, so we're gonna let that sit now for just a second. And I'm gonna switch back over to my medium flat brush real quick here. And this is so we can do just a couple things. Like right here, I'm gonna put some gray on there and just brush in that black. Okay. Any little things you want to do there, you can. There we go. And then that brown I got on there, you just brush it off. Okay, so this is how we're going to make this carrier look like it's metal and kind of dinged up, right? I'm gonna put a little black on a large flat brush, just like this. Okay, kind of wipe it off on the edges. Okay, and we're just gonna brush towards the center of our canvas with black. Okay, you kind of want it to fade out to give it that illusion. And brush in some of those black streaks, just like that. So just add some black to your brush, and basically you're just adding that shading. And you can add as much as you want. If you want it darker, just put more black. See, if I put more black on it, it makes it darker. So it just depends on how dark you want it to look. If you want to keep it pretty light, use less. Okay, it's different every time I do it because you never know how your brush is going to load. So just have fun with it and let that shading happen naturally with your paint. All right, so I want more white in mine over here, so I'm going to add some white to my brush. I want to keep this side a little lighter and that side darker. All right. So just brush in the dark, add the light, and leave those fun brush strokes in there. And there we go. Now I want this a little darker over here. Just gonna brush it in. Just like that. And anything I have left on my brush, I'm just gonna take it up here and put it in the rest of my gray. Just so that shading kind of goes together. Okay, now we're gonna do the same here on the top, just brush in that black. If you want it darker, just add that darker on your brush, brush it in. Just like that, very cool. All right, one more thing. On his outfit, you want it to look like it's darker where it folds. See that? So I'm gonna put a little black on there and just brush it out to give it the illusion that it's darker there. All right, guys, let's rinse our brush and add our stars. And I'm going to get my detail brush here real quick. My eyes are ready. So before I do my stars, I'm just gonna add some brown to my detail brush, come right over here to my eyes, and add that brown there. How cute is that? I love it. Okay, rinse your brush. Let's put some white on our brush. I have some white right here. It's my detail brush, right? And you'll notice little Yoda has lots of hair just sticking up all over the place. So I thought it'd be fun to give him that. And the center of his head has longer hair than the rest because I just really wanted to lift his head right here and show off those cute little hairs. So just give that center longer hairs. And the idea is to make it random. It doesn't need to be perfect. You can kind of go fast with it. Just kind of let your brush go in all directions, all the way around. Some of them will be tall and some short. Okay, we're just gonna brush up away. It also brightens him up, right? It gives him that glow that he has. But you see, I'm kind of going fast on it, right? We're just gonna go all the way, and you can follow his ears if you want. I kind of let it fade out here towards his ears and stopped, but he does have that fur on his ears too. So if you want to keep going, go for it. Super cute. Okay, and he has a little white highlight here on his ship or his baby carrier. And then one here along the edge. So I got some brown in that. Okay. Right there. Okay, guys, we did it. Our final touch is just the little stars. And the way we're gonna do that is by flipping your brush, right? You're gonna flip your brush around and use the back of it. Okay, let's just make sure our black is on there. Okay, so I'm gonna flip my brush around, use the back of it to get a good chocolate chip. It's our favorite. Easiest way to do these fun stars in the sky. So I'm going to dip the back of my brush in white, get a good chocolate chip. That's how I know I have enough. And we're going to add these little dots. If you press hard, you're going to get a big dot, right? If you press soft, you'll get a smaller one. So just keep that in mind. And we want to try not to do a pattern when we're doing this. Keep it pretty random as we go, if you can. You can come back. I kind of like to cluster them together and then come back and add random dots. All right, all the way off your canvas. If you have some empty space, that's okay. It doesn't all have to be filled in. But we're just gonna keep going. Using the back of our brush, dip it in white. There we go, all the way down. Trying to keep it kind of random. If I press hard, I get a bigger dot. Smaller dot if I press lighter. All right. I love him. He's so cute. I think we got everything, right? All right, guys, last thing we're gonna do is sign our name. It's the most important thing, right? Sign our work. We're pretty proud of our Yoda. Baby Yoda here, so let's sign our name. I'm gonna get my smallest brush. It's always a good idea to sign it with a detail brush. And find a spot. You can either hide your signature or you can put it out there for everyone to see. That's totally up to you. Here we go. I'm gonna sign it right here next to my little carrier. There we go. Thanks you guys for painting with me. I hope you had as much fun as I did. May the force be with you. We'll see you next time.